Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. I'm Stu Whiffin. Beside me always, Mr. Blake Harrison. How are you, sir?
Very good, mate. Very good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm very, very conscious of my grey beard today because you got a little baby face again, haven't you?
I've gone clean shaven. Yeah, I just had a self tape, so had to clean shave that bad boy down.
Take a few years off.
Take a few years off. try and lie. I was saying earlier, there's a little bit of grey just there that's like telling the truth of how long I've been on this planet. But yeah, I like to think I can get away with shaving off a few years from what I actually am when I'm clean shaven. I'm not a fan of it. I prefer the beard.
Same.
Yeah.
Like, I can take a few years off, but it also then reveals a multitude of chins, and it's like, oh, there they are, and you ain't got to worry about that.
So a few years off, but a few pounds on.
Exactly. So it's a catch-22, mate. But sneaky peek behind the curtain of the MMA Fan Podcast. Generally, when we press stop, Blake will have been looking at himself on Zoom for an hour. We'll at some point talk about how grey his beard is, and then I will talk about how grey my beard is. That's how vain we are.
Please send us pictures on a postcard of your beards and the progress of the greyness just spreading throughout the beard if you have
Absolutely.
that.
Well, look, we're here to talk about. We're recording this on Sunday morning and 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon, actually. And this is in the fallout of UFC 285, John Jones versus Cyril Gane. Tell me how you watched it last night, Mr. Harrison.
I watched it live.
Did you?
Baby.
Mate, you are looking very fresh-faced.
Mate, I have not been to bed. This is me on 30 hours awake now.
Wow.
30 hours. That's what a clean shave will do for you, mate.
Come on, mate. Get me a razor.
that and a can of Coke Zero. Other fizzy drinks are available. Yeah, that is it. So I'm on about 30 hours now. I don't feel too bad for it, though. I do feel all right. But it was good. I went round my brother's house, and a couple of my cousins were there, not for the fights. They were there because they went to watch Millwall earlier in the day, and they were there. I hadn't seen them for a while, so I popped round and we were gaming, playing a bit of Streets of Rage. Do you remember Streets of Rage? Is that a game that you played?
I was never a gamer.
Oh, mate, loser. Yeah, all these because you were in a band and socializing. You big old
chatting to girls,
big old loser. Yeah. All the cool kids were indoors playing their video games, mate. Missed out. Streets of Rage, and then he's got like a wrestling game. We were playing that for a bit, and Mario Kart and stuff. It was a good laugh. And then they left, and the fight started. We're all cool guys, baby. All the ladies want to come round to our house. That's what we were doing. Grown men in their 30s and 40s playing Mario Kart.
It was a late one as well. A late one, wasn't it?
Oh,
it was like a 7 a.m. finish. When I looked at my planner to record it, I thought, oh, mate. And literally, I mean, so you actually just watched it all live?
We watched it. We watched it all live. Apologies if you were trying to stay. If you've looked at Twitter before seeing the action, because I was tweeting a little bit from the account and everything. It was amazing. I mean, I think there was a few prelim fights that we were kind of like, I was a bit distracted. He wanted to do some other things, whatever. I watched Ian Gary and I watched Dricus and Brunson, which we'll talk about. And then obviously the whole main card all properly. So I've got my thoughts on all of that, obviously. But yeah, it was a fun way to watch it. I don't watch things live very often in terms of the UFC because of the fucking time it's on.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like this was one to do it for, not just for the return of John Jones, but the card itself I thought was a really good card. Yeah. So I thought, let's do it. Let's watch this one live.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Scroobius Pip did invite me round, but when I looked at it, and like I say, I see that the recording finished at 7 a.m. I just thought, I can't do that. It's just going to write me off on a Sunday. Because obviously, I work my club on a Friday night, and that's a stupidly late one. And it's like, 49, man, I can't be doing these two late nights on the bands. It's falling apart. So So I actually had a nice early night and woke up at 6 a.m. and come downstairs, and I had to be really careful because when you on my thing, when you record it and you turn the telly on, it automatically puts that channel on. And so I just thought,
Oh,
oh, it's 6. Shit, I could actually just end up turning on John Jones.
well, you would have done had it not
Yeah,
finished so blooming quickly,
yeah,
because it was about 6 that I remember. I think it all finished up, wasn't it? Or
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
And so yeah, I had a nice early start today, a few cups of coffee, and just really enjoyed watching the whole prelims and the main card. And I've just this second gone back and watched. I've sort of skipped through a lot of the fight pass prelims, but I did obviously watch former guest of the show, Ian Gary, but
Ian Mercado, Gary.
the future Ian Mercado Gary. Yes.
Former guest of the show, the future Ian Mercado. We can keep going and going and going.
We're going to start with the big boys at the top, yeah?
Oh, we have to. We have to. What? Wow. I mean, what else can you say? I was just blown away by it. I was also slightly disappointed because I did want more of a fight.
Yeah,
I mean,
we didn't see anything of John Jones.
No, I think he's answered some questions, but equally there's a lot of unanswered questions
loads.
in terms of how he's going to carry that weight and all that stuff. I mean, he looked, for the brief amount of time we saw him, he looked phenomenal.
He said he felt a bit rusty on his feet, didn't he?
Well, I was amazed
that goofy was his exact words. He said I just felt a bit goofy on my feet, so I took him down.
I mean, I felt like he was doing really well on the feet in terms of like when I think of John Jones, particularly in the more recent times that we've seen him, I think of a very intelligent, in the cage, intelligent guy with good fight IQ that's defensively sound.
Yeah.
And it was like he was just like, nah, I'm just going to push forward, mate. The way he just went, I'm upper weight class, and not just any weight class, not 10 pounds. He is really upper weight class. And he doesn't necessarily know how his body's going to react completely in that situation with a guy as elite as Cyril Gane is. Mm-hmm. And he just pushed forward the whole time, was cutting him off the cage, pushing forward. You're like, I didn't expect to see that side of him. Obviously, it was the wrestling that did it. We spoke about that on the preview show. That's where he was always going to have a huge advantage. And he didn't need to, what's the phrase? My tired brain isn't working, but he didn't need 2 offers, did he? It was just like, first chance he got to grab hold of him, boom, took him down. That was it.
It felt like for me, Cyril was just moving, like constantly moving just because Jones was coming forward, and I think he just didn't get an opportunity to catch him and earn his respect, and it just felt like I thought Gane looked a little bit in awe of everything that was going on. I think he just like the size of the gravitas of what you're doing. I know he's been in there with Francis and such, but this is John Jones, and this whole week, it's all been the John Jones show. But yeah, it felt like he just didn't get anything off on him to kind of just go, well, hang on a minute.
He didn't.
No, and that's what I'm saying. And like to have gone up, I'm here, I deserve to be here, right? We're gonna have a fight. And like you say, the minute he managed to sort of get him, it was so easily done, wasn't it? And it was, all right. So you cannot deny that he's the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. I don't see anybody getting anywhere close to that. It's very well documented that outside of the octagon, he is not an ambassador for the sport, and that's what taints it a little for me.
Yes, me too.
So moving forwards now, I mean, he called out Stipe, which I'm interested in.
I'm not.
Right, but
Dana said it's happening.
Right. See, that's not the fight that I think he's going to test John Jones.
No. I don't
think,
see it.
Right. Looking at how he fights, right, you might think I'm mad, right? I think the only person in that top 10 that's going to beat him is Tom Aspinall. I think Tom Aspinall's speed, Tom Aspinall's comfortable on the floor. I think he's the person in that top 10. I don't think Curtis Blades has got the size to do it. I think Tom Aspinall is the only person in the UFC that stands a chance of beating John Jones at the moment, currently in that heavyweight division. I'm not including Francis in there.
I mean, we can talk about Francis because that's a fight. Again, Dana said Francis is never going to come back. That door is shut. And I think that's a travesty if we never get that fight. It'd be such a shame.
Yeah.
And I think we should talk about that and how we feel about that fight now that we've seen John Jones at heavyweight. But looking at the heavyweight division right now, there's I would go with two people that I think would give him his biggest test. Tom Aspinall's the other one. And the other one for me is Curtis Blades. I think Curtis Blades does have good size. I think he's very athletic. And he can match John in the wrestling department. I think John won't be able to take Curtis down. Curtis, will be able to do well enough in the wrestling. And then it comes to the striking. I do think John Jones is a better striker. But I think Curtis has improved his striking. And I think that... I don't think of Jones as a knockout artist. I think of him as someone that is a good striker, defensively sound, all those kind of things. But I know what he did to DC. But yeah, he's not got that kind of Francis Ngannou, Derek Lewis knockout power.
Yeah.
And I think Curtis Blade could give him a really good fight. I think Tom Aspinall is the other one because if it goes to the ground, top pressure, John Jones, Jesus, you're in trouble. But Tom Aspinall does have very, very good grappling, great Brazilian jiu-jitsu, could catch him in something for sure. But I think trying to keep it on the feet is where he would have most success, and that speed, that in and out movement and the boxing. But I mean, Cyril Gane, just as you say, was he just in awe of it? He didn't seem like he was going into the cage or in the lead up to the fight, but during the fight itself, it seemed like he just couldn't get going. He was kind of just trying to keep away from him, and John was just pressuring forward. Maybe it was that. Maybe he wasn't expecting that. Maybe he's expecting John to try and fight from the outside, and he was just on the back foot mentally because of John's approach to the fight. Maybe I don't know, but
I think go on. Sorry.
On.
I just think on the whole, it was disappointing. It was disappointing. Yes, we saw a first round finish for John Jones in his return to become a two-weight champ and cement himself as the GOAT. But as you said, so many questions were unanswered. We didn't get to see much of John Jones. We didn't get to see what happens in the second round. We didn't get to see what his cardio was like. We didn't get to see anything really. And I was just, I don't know. I wanted more, but you don't get paid for overtime, and John Jones is right back at the top. And I don't know what's next for Cyril Gane. I guess there's who's the terror in that division? It's Pavlovich, isn't it?
Pavlovich is fighting Blades. That's coming up soon. Pavlovich and Blades. I think the winner of that fight for me is more deserving than Stipe. And I had, you say, of course, I was chatting to my brother about it. He thinks, no, Stipe's the winningest heavyweight. He's, he's the
greatest heavyweight
legend,
of all time, according to John Jones.
Yes, I mean, he would say that in order to get the legacy and beat him and all that stuff.
He's never going to say that.
But Stipe's like, how old's Stipe now? Is he about 40 years old?
74, I think.
Do you know what I mean? Like, this guy, he hasn't fought in, like, I don't know, a year and a half or whatever it is.
What was his last fight when he just got obliterated by Francis?
I'd have to look that up. It must be.
I think
it must be. So he's coming off a loss. He hasn't fought for well over a year, I think. Yeah. He's 40 years old or whatever it is.
You've got to.
But I just don't.
You've got to feel for Curtis Blades, haven't you?
You really do. That it's like that. He's like the Beneil Dariush. Every division's got one, it seems.
Yeah.
That just can't get a title shot when they sort of deserve it. I mean, Curtis. you know, in defense of the UFC in this situation, Curtis has come up short against Ngannou twice, but Ngannou's not around anymore. And God, who hasn't come up short against Ngannou, you know? And then
Stipe.
Derek Lewis caught him as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think Curtis Blades, particularly if he beats Pavlovich, has earned that shot, and he should get that shot. But if you're John Jones's manager, you're going right. Well, go for Stipe because it means way more for your legacy than it does if you beat Curtis Blades or a Tom Aspinall once he gets fit and hopefully gets a couple of wins under his belt, or a Sergey Pavlovich. Stipe's a way more winnable fight as well because everything Stipe does well, Jones does better, I think. And also, Stipe's not a big heavyweight. Like Stipe weighed in, I think, on one of the Cormier fights, so like 230 something pounds. Like Stipe is probably going to look significantly smaller than John Jones, I think. So that's the easy fight. It's the money fight because he's a big name.
Yeah.
And it's the legacy fight. It's all those things in one. And it makes you think about the future of the heavyweight division and John Jones because you go, okay, let's say John Jones and Stipe fight in July. They turn it round quick. John Jones wins. I would say he's a massive favourite to win that fight. What does John Jones do after that?
If Blades goes through Pavlovich, he's going to have to fight Curtis Blades. I would have thought. I can't.
But do you? If you're John, like you're saying, he lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now I can't profess to know loads about how much it costs to live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but it's not New York, it's not London, it's not LA. I imagine he's got a very, very, very luxurious, nice lifestyle being a millionaire in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He doesn't need to fight money-wise. He's fighting for greatness, for legacy. Maybe he continues to fight because he loves it. But, I mean, he's just been away for 3 years. And, I don't know, it seemed like he was all right being away. So, does he go, right, I've won the belt. I've beat Stipe. If I definitely can't fight Francis, who he had some choice words for in the press conference, post-fight press conference, he called him a pussy, which, you know, I thought it wasn't particularly funny or classy or anything. It wasn't
John Jones
great.
we're talking about, like
John Jones, obviously. But if you can't get the Francis fight, does it do much for him fighting Blades, Aspinall? Like, could he just go, all right, I'll just chill out for a year. If you can't get Francis back, I'll vacate and I'll leave. And if someone emerges that people go, oh, he's amazing, we have to see him fight John Jones, maybe I'll pop back.
Let's not count out Pavlovich at the moment because he's looking terrifying.
No,
and I think Blades is a real test. And so, you know, we're talking Blades. This could easily be turned on his head if Pavlovich, you know, finishes him in good fashion. And
but equally, Jones isn't going to want to fight him, is he?
No, of course not.
Not that he's not going to want to fight him in terms of he's worried about him. It just does nothing
fight
for him.
Yeah.
It's like he's back at light heavyweight going, I've got these.
It's weird because you want the big fights, the big names, like you want your Diaz's and your McGregor style kind of like veteran super fights. But if you're the champ, you can't really have them because you've got loads of predators waiting there that deserve their shot. And so what do you do if you can't get them super fights? You've just got to either fuck off or fight the predators that are chomping at the bit to get hold of you. So yeah, it is a weird one. And I just want to say again, I was just a bit disappointed that we didn't get more of it because I wanted, I think we all wanted to see, a couple of rounds out of John Jones.
100%.
And I'd like to have seen Cyril, relax a little and get into the fight a bit more.
He feels. I mean, I think I've seen him in press. He feels so disappointed in himself, and you would. That is your second chance at becoming the proper heavyweight champion of the world. I know he was an interim champion, but it's not the same. His second chance at being a proper heavyweight champion, and that's how it went down, man. that's going to eat away at you. That sucks, doesn't it?
Do you think there's a potential for Tommy Aspinall's comeback fight to potentially be gone? Or do you think that's a big step? Or do you think we could see Tommy against, former guest of the show, Tom Aspinall against a tie to Avasa, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, that's certainly a fun fight. And Ty's now, is he on a bit of a losing streak now after Garn and Pavlovich? Did he lose to Pavlovich as well? Ty to Ivasa? Yeah. So he's on a bit of a losing streak now. So maybe Tom comes back to fight him, and it'd definitely be a fun fight. Tom could easily come back with a bit of a warm-up fight and fight someone like a Jairzinho Rosenstrike, someone like that. Yeah, I don't know. I think Cyril Gane now, we were mentioning what's next for Cyril Gane. I mean, for as long as John stays around, Gane, unfortunately, now is surely in a kind of weird gatekeeper role.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a huge hole in his game, which is the wrestling, which everyone that can wrestle will try to exploit. Like, if you're Tom Aspinall, you're now going, oh, I can take you down and I can mash you up. So yeah, I think Gane it looks way more beatable to people now than he did. I mean, the Ngannou one, you always had the thing of like, oh, but he wasn't training for a wrestler.
Yeah.
He was training for a striker, and that game plan just completely caught him off guard. Now you're like, I don't know, John Jones is an exceptional wrestler, but now you're just like, oh mate, this is a big hole you've got to fill quick.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know what's next for Gane. I do think he's in this kind of gatekeeper role. I don't know if he could fight a Tommy Aspinall or the loser of Blades Pavlovich, or I don't know really. I don't know what's next for Gane, but it's not the greatest position to be in. But however, if John Jones is thinking, oh, I want Stipe and I want Francis, and that's it, then he can beat Stipe in a few months. Francis fight may never happen, and then he might just go, oh, I'll vacate, and then Gane's open again to go for the belt again if he's got a couple of other wins under him. So it's not all doom and gloom for Gane. He is young, but I think he's now got to wait for John Jones to say goodbye before anyone's even that bothered about watching him fight again. He'd have to put together like a 4-fight win streak, I think, before anyone's interested. So, yes, it's
the only person that shocked the world last night.
Oh my God,
Alexa Grasso, amazing.
I mean, what? It feels like Nunes Pena again. It feels like what? Where, why and how?
Completely, yeah.
But Ronda Home wasn't that. Like, Home had, in my opinion, a clear pathway to victory. I know that Ronda was on such a big win streak and she looked unbeatable, but Home had a skill set that was so refined compared to what Ronda had faced before that you were like, well, let's see how she can do with this. It wasn't it was shocking that it happened in the manner that it did, that head kick and all that stuff. But the gap between Pena and Nunes, and what I believed to be the gap between Grasso and Shevchenko, because Shevchenko's been so unbelievably dominant, best pound for pound woman at the moment, or was, because Nunes lost to Pena, I think. And there was nowhere in the lead up to the fight, I hadn't seen anything from Grasso where I went, that's going to trouble Shevchenko. Yes, she's got good boxing, but so Shevchenko, and she's got good kicks, good clinch work, great Muay Thai takedowns. And we saw in the fight Shevchenko sort of grow in moments of the fight and learn, hey, the striking's actually harder for me than what I realized. Let me take her down. And I expected Shevchenko's success to be in the takedowns. But even when she took her down, she didn't do any kind of overwhelming damage. She was trying to put her in a crucifix at one point, and Grasso was able to get out of it, get back to her feet. She was matching her in a lot of the striking.
matching her. I thought she was
well,
first round outstruck her completely. I thought she looked
yeah,
phenomenal.
she looked
Switching
really,
stances,
really good.
confusing Valentina. I thought it
Yep,
was such a dominant first round, and
yep.
I do think Valentina took the second, but let's talk about that rear naked choke. I mean, it was
Oh my God.
the speed of it from that spinning kick. She just climbed her like a ladder, and that was it. And it was like, fucking hell, that's unreal. And people don't do that to Shevchenko. And yeah, absolute props to Alexa Grasso ceasing that moment and not at any point looking like she didn't deserve to be in that octagon with, one of the greats of all time, if not the greatest. She absolutely went in there brimming with confidence, super humble, super kind in all the kind of press stuff leading up to it, as is Valentina. And we should also say Valentina was super gracious in defeat as well.
Yes.
And obviously called for the immediate rematch. But
Yep.
what an incredible moment for Mexico as well.
Yeah, man.
Another
They've got
Mexican
3
champ.
champions at the
I know.
moment. 3
Unbelievable.
champions. They got Yair Rodriguez, Alexa Grasso, and Brandon Moreno.
Yeah.
That the UFC have got to go to Mexico soon and take at least 2 of those champions with them,
Absolutely.
and have a great time over there. You mentioned the spinning kick. How much is that eating away at Shevchenko now? Because it looked like maybe it wasn't the best choice in that moment. Like, all credit to Grasso, the way she got on her back and got the hooks in so quick, and then the squeeze. Did you see the squeeze?
Yeah.
And like the suntan thing, like the white mark after she let it go across her face, because it wasn't even under the chin, was it?
No.
It was like a crank across. Such a tight squeeze she had on her. But that spinning kick by Valentina, was that sluggish? Was it labored? Was it a bad choice in the moment? Like, is that going to be something that's eating away
I
at
don't
her?
think it was sluggish. I think fourth round, no one should ever really question Shevchenko's cardio. Certainly not at that point in the fight. I thought she didn't look tired. I thought she looked quite.
I don't know. Some of her shots looked a bit lazy to me, like in terms of like shooting for the takedowns. There was 1 or 2. They even mentioned it on the commentary as well, where she dropped down and really telegraphed a few.
She did telegraph a few
takedown
right.
attempts. And she did look. She looked a bit tired, I thought.
But we have
only
seen,
a little bit, not loads.
We have seen Valentina under pressure before, and I just think nobody's really capitalised on it like Alexa Grasso did. She saw that moment and fucking hell, did she make it count? It was unbelievable and just great, because we all like the Rocky story. We all like the underdog that gets the opportunity and makes it count. It shakes up the division because, me, you, and Nathaniel were all sitting there going, it's Valentina Shevchenko. She's going to just go straight through her.
Yep.
And it's like, we wasn't alone in that. Everybody just presumes that nobody's going to beat Shevchenko. And, well, it's just shook up the division. I mean, I presume she gets the immediate rematch.
Yeah. And on the note you were talking about where everyone was like, it's just Shevchenko, not only were people saying it's obviously going to be a Shevchenko win, and we were part of that narrative going in, but there were also people that went even further to say they should just cancel this fight because Erin Blanchfield looks way better than Grasso. And that is, and we asked Nathaniel Wood about it. We were saying there are people out there saying this. How disrespectful of that is that? And Nathaniel said, it is disrespectful, but I sort of get it.
Yeah.
Because Grasso, up until this point, their best win was ranked 8th Araujo, who lost to Hebas earlier that night. There was not much that we'd seen from Grasso where we went, yeah, she's going to give Valentina problems. Whereas Erin Blanchfield beating Jessica Andrade, that is something where you go, okay, now I'm interested.
Yeah.
Poor Blanchfield now, she's going to have to fight someone else. She was thinking, I'll fight for the belt before the end of the year. No, because there will be an immediate rematch, I'd imagine. Shevchenko's called for it. Shevchenko deserves it after being such a dominant champion. And I put up a little poll on Twitter for followers of the MMA Fan podcast on this note. I'll try and find it now. Do give us a follow on the socials. And I thought, immediate thoughts, will Shevchenko do what Nunes did and immediately regain her belt in the rematch with Grasso? 81% of the people that voted said yes, they think she will immediately regain the belt. I am part of the 19% that think she won't.
Ooh, Harrison, tell me more.
Tell me more. That obviously things can change, because I think I maybe even thought a little bit like this when with the Pena Nunes one as well. And then by the time the fight rolled around, I was like, no, Nunes is going to do it. With this, I'm thinking this wasn't completely out of the blue, because look at the Santos fight. And I'm wondering if now that we're seeing the Santos fight in relation to the Grasso fight, is it not a blip, but more of a sign of this amazing, great champion, one of the best females to ever do it, if not maybe the best? I don't know. I think I still put Nunes above her, but is this a sign of her decline? 35 years old now, I think, or at least about to be.
That's the easy thing to say, isn't it?
Is it though? 81% of people think that she's going to immediately win it back.
Yeah.
I think maybe she's just Father Time is catching up. Also, I found out something else recently, and I'm going to have to go on Tapology now just to see this. Valentina Shevchenko, even though she's only 35, she had her debut like when she was something like 14 years old.
Yeah.
Like, so I think Valentina Shevchenko debuted only like 3 or 4 years after like Fedor Emelianenko.
Yeah.
That's mental, isn't it?
Yeah,
Considering how much of a decline Fedor has been on for quite a while.
Yeah,
and he's a bit more sort of before my time, really, as well, if I'm honest. Like, it's more like, I think you and Pip and people like that would know more about the kind of the Fedor days and all that kind of stuff. But like, her debut as a pro mixed martial artist was in 2003. It was 20 years ago. She's been fighting professionally for 20 years. That will catch up with you.
It will, but it also, in my mind, just hammers home just how good she is. Like, she has literally tore through them 20 years, and up until now looked pretty invincible. And I still think if it would have gone to the scorecards before that rear naked choke, it's probably would have given it to Shevchenko. I think the first round. Go on.
Sorry.
I'm
now having a little game with myself. I'm having a little game with myself where I'm going, who is like, do we think of as like retired or old in terms of like MMA, and when did they debut? And Shogun Rua debuted about 4 or 5 months before Shevchenko.
Wow. Glover Teixeira was fighting in the 60s.
Right. When did Glover debut? I've got to do this now. You're gonna have to.
All the photos are in black and white at Glover's debut.
Right, when was Glover's debut? Because we have been taking a mick out of how old Glover is for ages. Glover's debut. To be fair, Glover's debut was only 10 months before Shevchenko's. And we've been saying Glover's 73. Oh my God. But that's like, you have a time that your body can do this for. And it's not, obviously age is a factor, but also your time spent in the octagon. It's such a grueling sport. The training, the sparring, the weight cuts, the fights themselves. It's going to catch up with you at some point. And I wonder if we're seeing it now with Shevchenko. Santos was starting to decline. She got through it. Grasso, she hasn't. And in a rematch, I don't know, man.
Are we going to see Valentina just absolutely destroy Alexa Grasso in a rematch and then cut off the gloves and leave me in the octagon? I don't know. Because I know people are talking Blanchfield, but she's cleared out everyone. and I don't know if there was an element of, oh, well, Alexa Grasso's next on the block, like, oh, this is going to be an easy night's work, and got shot. I don't think so. She's a professional fighter. She's not going to
Well,
underestimate anyone.
maybe. But the other thing
Possibly.
is, was she caught up in the Blanchfield thing? Like a lot of people were talking about Blanchfield, and was she going, oh, let me just quickly get through Grasso, and then I'm going to go and smash Blanchfield because everyone's going on about Blanchfield, and I'm going to go and smash her. So was she looking past her a bit? Maybe. But all credit to Grasso because that was a sensational finish to the fight.
Yeah.
The way she took that back was really quite. I mean, Grasso by submission. I don't know what the odds were on that, but
Someone
they
made a
would
lot
have
of money.
been someone crazy that everyone was calling a fucking idiot has made loads of money on that.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
You wait to see how much money I'll make when Dustin Poirier gets that strap at the end of the year, mate.
Now.
Who in the world wants to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov? Anyone?
Oh, mate. I mean, to be fair, Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
Jeff Neal did. And he came up pretty short, but he did well. I mean, I did say, I think we're going to get a more exciting fight than people thought. A lot of people going into this, Shavkat fanboys going, Shavkat's going to smash him. And he got the finish and he did well. But Jeff Neal gave us a way better fight than I think most people were expecting. And I'm going to toot my own horn. I said exactly that on this show, on the preview show. I was saying Jeff Neal's great at avoiding the takedown. Shavkat doesn't shoot for takedowns. He gets them in the clinch.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Neal's avoided takedowns from the likes of Bilal Muhammad, stuff like that. And he likes it on the feet and he's got good hands. And that's what we saw. One thing I would say we've learned about Shavkat, man's got a chin on him. Not only is he a great striker, good top pressure, good submissions, that man can take a punch as well. So in a way, he's even scarier now, isn't he?
Yeah. Jeff Neal's boxing's cracking. And I thought the range was a big problem for Jeff Neal. And I think when he was coming in, he was just getting caught with that jab quite a lot. And it was piecing up his face in the end. And he's like a fucking robot. He just does not stop pressuring you. He's just terrifying. And everything he throws just seems aggressive, like really aggressive. And
it's aggressive. That MMA's a bit aggressive.
Come on, this is a bit aggressive, mate. Can't you just throw this with a bit more love, please?
Throw it with a bit of a tickle,
that one. Do you know what I mean? Everything. Yes. It's not like he's peppering you. Everything he's throwing like with purpose, like big purpose.
The body work,
mate,
the knees to the body and stuff like that. Oh man,
you talk about Shavkat's chin. Also, props to Jeff Neal, who took a lot of damage in that fight, and he didn't tap, did he? He went out, and
no, I think he did tap.
Did he?
I think he did. I don't think he collapsed to the floor because it was all standing. I think he tapped. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
To the floor, and Shavkat walked off. I'm pretty damn sure about that.
Mate, I've been awake for 30 hours, so I'm going to say you know what you're talking about more than me. I don't
think he tapped. I don't think he tapped.
All right, I thought I saw a tap.
Yeah, I mean, 17-0 now. There's not many people at 170 that are going to relish that fight. I think, and I think Rogan said it, that your casuals probably don't really know who he is, but, everybody else is excited about this fella, and rightly so. And I think last night, being so high on a big card like that, I think everybody's now going to be going, can't wait to watch this guy fight again. I mean, what's next for him?
Well, he called out Colby.
Man. I'm well up for that.
I'm up for that. I mean, but then Hamzat Colby was supposed to be a thing for a long time. Dana said he thinks that fight would be fun. Dana also said that Colby is ready to fight and wants to fight. Dana has also said that we've offered Colby fights and he said yes, but then they just haven't worked out for whatever reason. So I don't know. My impression was that Colby didn't want to fight because of his whole lawsuit thing with Masvidal and all of that. But according to Dana White, Colby has said yes and has accepted fights that then just didn't materialize for reasons he didn't give. So Colby versus Shavkat, I mean, I'd watch the hell out of that. I'd like that. If that happens, it makes me wonder: is Hamzat going up to middleweight? Because that was supposed to be Hamzat's ticket to a title shot, I think. So we will have to wait and see. I'm not sure, but that would be a really, really fun fight. I'd love to watch that fight. Yeah, I wonder if he'll have more chance of getting someone like a Bilal Muhammad, because Bilal's in one of those really tricky spots where he probably is owed something good. He's on a decent streak, isn't he, Bilal Muhammad? I think,
Yeah.
unless I'm mistaken.
But
So
Bilal Muhammad, again, you know, he is one of them sort of quiet guys in the division, and why would you go? Oh, I tell you what, I'll fight him. It's like he should be looking above that. That's a bit.
yeah,
That's a look back, you know, at the moment for him, and I don't think that's a smart move at all.
it's not a smart move, but is it one of those ones that a guy like Bilal needs to fight someone like that in order to? I mean, gosh, Bilal, actually, you're looking at him. He's on a 1, 2, 3. Well, there's the no contest with Leon Edwards, which I do think he was going to lose that fight. I mean, I know it's hard to know, but I think he got beaten in that first round quite badly. Let's say he did lose to Leon Edwards, which is maybe harsh of me. He's still on a 4-fight win streak after that, and against good fighters. I mean, Damian Maia on the way out, but then Wonder Boy, Vincente Luque, who was doing well at the time, I think, and Sean Brady, who was undefeated at the time. I mean, they're good wins.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe Bilal will have to again just fight an undefeated guy behind him in order to prove, hey, I'm the guy, which feels harsh, but maybe that's just what has to happen. I don't know.
I mean, we've been going like nearly 45 minutes, and there's still quite a lot to talk about. And I don't think there was too much to talk about with Gamrot Turner. I thought it was quite an average fight to watch. Don't know if you thought there was anything of note to mention about that fight.
I quite enjoyed the fight. I do. I feel like I had a problem with the judges' scorecards. What did you think anything about the scorecards?
I didn't actually catch the score. What were the points?
So it was split decision, and it was 29-28 Gamrot, 29-28 Turner, and then 30-27 Gamrot.
No way.
Now I'd need to rewatch the fight. For me, I scored it 29-28 Turner.
I thought Turner had that second round.
I thought he had the first and second.
Yeah.
I thought he landed some damaging strikes in that, and I felt like what Gamrot did when he got it to the ground at points wasn't big enough to undo the damage that Turner had caused. Yeah. Now I'd have to rewatch it to have a really good opinion on it, but watching it live, I felt like Turner did enough in rounds 1 and 2 to score the most damage, and then he lost round 3. Yeah. Now, giving it 29-28 to Gamrot, you know, I wouldn't have been overly upset by that. That's like, fine, I disagree, but fine. But 30-27 Gamrot, not giving Turner a single round, I found strange. I didn't think that was right. I thought it was quite clear when I remember watching it. I thought it was quite clear in round 1, I think, that that Turner did enough to land noticeably more damage than Gamrot did to it. So I did find that's the scorecards there strange, but I do think Turner did really well. 6'3", about what is he, late 20s? He's still got a way to go. And he took as much as Gamrot stepped in on 2 weeks' notice, he took Gamrot on 2 weeks' notice and was preparing for Dan Hooker. I think Jalen Turner would have caused Dan Hooker a lot of problems. And I think Jalen Turner, former guest of the show, Dan Hooker. And I think that I think Jalen Turner's still got a decent career in front of him. Gamrot obviously back in the win column. He's someone that I think is really good and has a great skill set. So yeah, anything else you want to say about that fight?
No, not really. You know, in regards to an exciting career ahead of them, I think if the UFC's hype machine is anything to go by, Bo Nickel has a very exciting career in front of him. There was a lot of attention on this fight last night. again, I don't really know too much about wrestling, but from what I gather, he's an absolute legend and beast
Yes.
within the wrestling world in America, which we know that just talking about Jones and that and that college wrestling, it's such an important part of what they do when they at college, but it's also become a fundamental and a lot of the time an overwhelming skill to have when you get in the octagon. And last night, Bo Nickel showed that. Very quick stoppage, 2 minutes 54 in the first round against Jamie Pickett. Just looked pretty damn solid, I thought. I mean, he's got a long way to go, but yeah, I mean,
Came from a low blow though, didn't it?
did it?
To me, I thought it was quite clear that Bo Nickel, Bo Nickel need him in the nuts.
Mm.
Pickett responded to that and was almost like looking towards the ref, who just didn't really do, well, clearly didn't do anything. And Bo Nickel went, "Thanks very much, I'll take you down now." And then that was the beginning of the end. But I thought it all came from a low blow. And I think I've seen something on social media about his manager is going to be appealing the fight and appealing to him because he felt like it came from a clear low blow. Whether or not, I don't know that things regularly do get overturned in that way when fighters appeal decisions and stuff like that. But I think he's definitely got a case for it, because when I was watching it, I was like, that's a low blow. And then the fight just continued. So I don't know. But yeah, he's probably going to be fast tracked, isn't he? I mean, the fact that it was his UFC debut, he's only 3-0 or whatever it is in MMA. And he's fighting on the main card UFC against a guy that was like had 21 fights.
Yeah.
This is a guy that's going to get fast tracked. Garbrandt Jones, do you want to discuss anything to do with that?
Well, it was quite a dull fight, I thought. But for me, it felt like Cody was a far, far better fighter. Like much better. His speed's phenomenal. He's a former champ and took apart Dominic Cruz. I think Trevin Jones didn't really know what to do, but he clipped Garbrandt, and it just feels. I think when we first had Brad Pickett on the show, like way back, I think one of the first or second episodes, and Brad said, like, after he'd got caught, and I think Nathaniel even mentioned it. I don't know if it was after we pressed stop last week. Fighters then reassess a little, and they don't fight the same way. They don't bite down on that gum shield and think, right, here we go, I'm going to take one to eat one, because they've got a little bit of a concern over their chin. And I felt that was the case with Cody last night. We didn't get them huge strikes. I mean, obviously he's got a different corner now. I don't think he's an alpha male anymore, is he? And what was great about Cody Garbrandt was that boxing and that brawling style that would obliterate people. But then, as we've seen in the last maybe 4 fights, or is he 4 and 5 until last night, getting knocked out badly, and I think whether it's got to factor in your performance that, well, hang on a minute, I don't really want to get hit by him. But it just felt like whenever you got hit by him, it was like, right, keep moving. And the crowd were booing because they expect Cody Garbrandt to be all fireworks. And I think, as much as it wasn't super exciting to watch, I think he fought the right fight. I think he just showed off like how talented he is on his feet, how well-rounded he is, how experienced he is. And I think he just got 3 rounds under his belt. And I think, it's all going to build the confidence for up until, now, like a pretty, a super exciting fighter. Whenever, you see Garbrandt on the card, you knew you was going to get a good fight. We didn't get that last night, but I think it's just about him building up a little bit of confidence again. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say on that. Yeah. Anything you made of it?
Yeah, no, I don't think he'll go back to that style, to be honest, because that was the style that was leading to him constantly getting knocked
Yeah.
out. I think he showed some really great footwork and movement and stuff.
Mm.
I was really disappointed with Trevor Jones in terms of like, not that I had high. I think it was clear that Garbrandt was a way better fighter. I mean, he's a former champion. I know he's on a bad skid, but that's usually against people that are decent, you know, Pedro Munoz, Kai Kara France. So they're good fighters, you know, Dillashaw and stuff like that. So he's fighting way lesser competition in Trevor Jones. But
Mm.
I just think he just stayed on the outside and let.
Yeah.
He seemed to find it very difficult to touch him. Like Garbrandt had a speed advantage and a footwork advantage stuff. But I mean, look, what the hell do I know? But when you're fighting a guy like Garbrandt who's been knocked out so many times of late, surely your game plan is maraud forward and fucking just land one on him quick, because that'll just send him backwards. I know Garbrandt hits hard as well, and it was easier said than done, what I'm saying. But not only that, did he at the start, I think, do the wrong thing. In the third round, he did clip him. He clipped him in the third round. I wouldn't go as far as to say Cody was rocked, but he was hurt a bit. He definitely felt that. And you could see a change in him. And what did he do? He took him down.
Yeah,
and it
bad
just,
move.
to me, it just showed really poor fight IQ. And I was just like, oh, man. As soon as he locked his hands and took him down, I was like, you're joking. You've got a guy that constantly gets knocked out lately, on the ropes, as it were, and you're not going for him. You're going to take that. It just and even his corner was saying to him before that round, you need a finish.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he thought, I've got him on points. They told him, you're down 2 rounds. You need a finish. So I don't understand the mentality of going for a takedown with a minute to go in a fight where you know you need a finish.
Yeah.
It was strange to me.
Absolutely. Drickus versus the guest of the show, Derek Brunson. What did you make of that fight?
That was a weird fight, man. But again, I felt like we sort of called it in the preview show. Drickus can only really fight for 1 round. He gets gassed out.
Do you know what, right?
And Brunson did in the Cannonier fight. He did the same thing he did in this fight. He got clipped once in the second round after a good first round. And then boom, it's like his legs went, everything went. He all just, he couldn't be there anymore. It was so bizarre. Go on, carry on.
If Drickus goes top 5 now, which I think he will, with Brunson 5th, I think he was.
Yeah.
My God, like, I don't know how he's got there, because literally finished the first round with his mouth wide open, like just blowing out of his arse. And it felt in that second round, he was just like wildly swinging. At 185, the rest of that top 5, mate, they are going to destroy him. Like, I just do not see that. For me, and I hope I'm wrong, because he seems like a pretty nice fella, I think he's reached where he's going to reach in that level of the UFC now. I think, have you seen him with Robert Whittaker or something like that? They'd absolutely obliterate him. Like, what if he
funny
gets he talks that he wants a title shot? 5 rounds. Fucking hell, mate. I don't think so.
It's funny you say this, because after that performance, I put out another poll for the Twitter following. And I said, does Drickus du Plessis trouble anyone in the top 5?
Who's in the top 5 off the top of your head?
I'm actually looking at it now.
Oh, okay.
It's in front of me. Champion Pereira, Izzy, Whittaker, Cannonier, Marvin Vettori.
Right.
And then obviously Drickus. So with Drickus now being 5th, I've put, does he trouble anyone in the top 5? 59% of people say yes. 41% say no. I'm in the no category.
Who's he going to trouble in there?
Who's it? Marvin Vettori, I think, will smash him. He's probably got his best chance against Cannonier, but even Cannonier, I think, will be able to survive. I think Cannonier just about survived against Brunson, who's got a way better ground game than Drickus. I don't. Whittaker, no way. Adesanya, no way. Pereira, I don't think so. Pereira's a bit of a wild card because what's his takedown defense like when he fights someone that can take you down? But yeah, I think Dricus against any of those that I've mentioned, Vittori, Cannonier, Whitaker, Adesanya, Pereira, I'd be going for the other guys all day long.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised at how Dricus keeps winning, but not looking good. I mean, Darren Till is now no longer with the UFC. I know he got his release because he clearly needs to fix an injury and he wants to take some things to help that go quickly, I think. So he can't be in the USADA pool. But, I mean, Darren wasn't looking amazing up until that fight. And then Dricus gassed so badly that Darren Till did well against him in that second round. And I think possibly could have beat him, actually, if it wasn't, the fight went the way it went and Dricus got the win. But I think Darren Till was close to maybe. I'll have to rewatch the fight, but I felt like Darren Till got the upper hand in round 2, and then unfortunately was taken down early in round 3 and just couldn't do anything about it. But yeah, I'm not looking at Dricus as a title, maybe even, but definitely not a future champion for me. I think that'll be mad if Dricus du Plessis is the champion of the middleweight division when you've got other people in there like this. I just can't see it happening.
I know that there's fighters over the years that you've just gone, he's got to get him out of there early, otherwise he's going to fall apart. I mean, he was falling apart, but he still did get that win. Don't make no mistake. He was in that. I mean, he stopped him in the second, right at the very close of it. But for the whole of that round, it was like watching the 14th round in a Rocky film. Like they were both literally just exhausted. And I just think that person's now ranked in the top 5. And I don't want to hate on him. I really don't.
No.
But he just felt like, how are you in the top 5? After the first round, he was exhausted. And it wasn't like Derek Brunson was smashing him. It wasn't a complete onslaught and he was just being ragdolled and he should have been absolutely blowing. I don't know. I just wonder how his cardio is in training and what his trainers are assessing from these performances, because is he just getting an adrenaline dump in that first round where it just all just falls out of him at the end of the first? I don't know, but I don't think there's anyone in that top 5 that are going to be concerned by Dricus on the last 2 performances, and I just think it's strange he's in that position after them 2 outings. But yeah, there you go. Right, where are we at? Okay, we're at the hour mark. Where do you want to go now?
Well, the only thing I'm that interested in talking about now is former guest of the show, Ian the Future Mercado Gary.
Mate, do you know what? Former guest of the show, Paddy the Baddy, has come and rolled a hype. And love him or loathe him, he's a superstar. I'm more excited to see what's going to happen with Ian Gary. I think Ian Gary has got something really special. Yes, he got clipped. I liked what he done the minute he got clipped. He sharpened up quick. He's got age on his side. Precision that boy's got with his striking, phenomenal.
Yeah.
The range and how he keeps that range and how he fights, amazing. The fact that in that third round, he went, whooped, let's go, and then fucking destroyed him. In spectacular fact, body shots, unreal.
Yeah.
And we love Paddy, and they both moved into the UFC around the same time, both Cage Warriors champions. But for me, the fact that he was on the Fight Pass prelims is disappointing, because I think he is a superstar in the making. I really do. And I think I'm more interested to watch his journey at the moment. I think it could be something very, very special. And I mean,
I think he could do great things. I think he's, exciting stylistically to watch, and I like Ian. We got on really well with Ian. He's been on the show a couple of times. I do think that there's an element of this was meant to be quite an easy fight for him.
Mm.
He got the finish, which is fantastic, and he got it in great style, and that's the main thing. But he did get, it wasn't just clipped, he was rocked. But like,
Didn't look in trouble.
I thought he
Didn't
looked
look
in
in. No,
trouble.
I didn't think so.
I thought he did.
I
I
obviously
mean, Ian said after the fight, like, you know, it's 4-ounce gloves. My granny can stick on 4-ounce gloves, lay one on me, and you never know.
yeah.
But I thought he did look in a bit of trouble, and I was worried for him for a little bit.
He went
But
back to
maybe
his
we saw
corner
it differently.
and
Oh yeah,
was talking to his corner and was fine
because he got
and
through the round. But in
yeah.
that moment, I felt like, again, maybe I'm remembering it wrong. 30 hours without sleep, whatever. But I feel like had Keenan Song carried on with the striking rather than, again, I think going towards kind of like getting a body lock situation going on, it could have been very, very hairy. I thought he looked pretty rocked, but he did recover well, got back to his corner, and then he did really well after that. But and as you say, it's one of those things you can, anyone can get clipped, anyone can get hit, blah, blah, but I was just like, I wonder if the UFC might look at that and go, oh, I thought you were meant to be better. You don't think?
No, not at all. Do you hear the crowd? You know, there's an American crowd, you know, and they're all chanting for Gary in the third round. When you then whoop and then you get a finish like that, people ain't worried about that getting clipped. Like, fighters get clipped. Fighters, you know, all the way up, everybody gets one, and I think it's just experience. And from after that moment, he did not drop his hand from the side of his head for the rest of that fight. You know, and that's what it's about, getting them rounds under your belt. You know, he didn't make that mistake again, and I'm sure his corner, when they watch it back, are going to go, right, well, that's why that happened. It's quite straightforward, you know, and well done, because, you know, after that, it didn't happen again, and his striking was fucking incredible.
It was
Gary's.
great.
Like,
it was great. Body shots were amazing.
Yeah, and oblique kicks were fantastic. Like, he was just peppering him, and like calf kicks, and like I thought he looked the real deal last night. Yes, he got clipped, but yeah, and then to just turn it on for the crowd, whoop, and then just do that. That for me is like a fantastic finish and super exciting. And yeah, I want to see where it's going to go. You know, he's
well,
so
he
young.
wants to fight. He wants to fight at 287, which is in
Miami.
It's
in
not
about
far.
4 weeks.
Yes, that's the one that his stablemate Gilbert Burns is on that card fighting Masvidal. So yeah, I don't know if he'll get on that card or not, but if he can get on the card, like if he can go from one pay-per-view card and then he's on another pay-per-view card in just 2 cards time type thing, then, or 2 numbered cards time, then I think that's really good for him. That really builds his, you know, visibility and brand. Because again, they've stuck him on the Fight Pass prelims there. I mean, this was a very good card, but you would hope, you know, if you're in his team, you want him at least on the normal prelims, not the Fight Pass prelims, I think.
I think when we done the pre-show, we was all a little bit surprised that was where he was, but obviously there's a lot more hype around Bo Nickel at the moment, and I think they wanted to really showcase that debut, and I think potentially that might have been what bumped Ian Gary back down. But yeah, that finish of Ian Gary's was way more exciting than that arm triangle choke of Bo Nickel's, as far as I'm concerned.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and yeah, let's see what happens to Ian Gary in the future. But I know you've been awake 30 hours. Even that looked painful, that little snigger you done at that shit
it
joke.
was. I had to really force it out just out of politeness. Oh, God, I've not got another one of them in me. Right, are we done?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, great event. Wish we could have seen more from the big man. But, you know, it's never in doubt now, is it? He's the GOAT. And did you see the little face-off between Jamal Hill, so former guest of the show, Jamal Hill, and I forgot his name.
Prohazka.
Prohazka, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, looks like it could be getting done. Let's hope that I would love to see that more than like, him defend against like an Ankalaev or whatever. I really want to see Prohajka back. I love Prohajka.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, we'll see what happens there between Prohajka and former guest of the show, Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill.
Right. I think we're done. Give us a follow on the socials, please, people. We're most active, I guess, on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, as we've mentioned, countless people on this episode have been former guests of the show. Who did we have on before? Nathaniel. Who did we have on the week before?
Modestus Bukaskus.
Modestus. What a great chat that was. Go check that one out if you missed it. And yeah, so many. Go and check out the first episode with Ian Gary. That was such a laugh. That was just before he took the Cage Warriors strap, and we've spoke to him since as well. We've mentioned Paddy. We've had Paddy on a few times. We've had them all on
Derek
Yeah.
Brunson, who I believe sort of put something out. I think he might have retired.
Oh, really?
I think he has. I think he put a tweet out. I only kind of just saw it before we came on the thing, but I think he's put something out saying thanks very much, and I think he might be done. He's 39 years old.
Yeah.
I think he might be done. So happy trails to Derek Brunson if that is your retirement fight.
Absolutely. We'll be back next time. In the meantime, we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Can we go bye-byes now?
I'm gonna go sleep.